All right, I think we'll get started. Thanks for everyone joining us today. My name is Sabrina Duke. I'm the current committee chair of the SE3 committee, Structural Engineering Engagement and Equity. I see a lot of new names on today's roster, so I'm really glad to see that there's more interest, continued interest in our committee. As mentioned, this is an opportunity for us to network and chat and ask questions, but I wanted to just give you a really brief overview of what the committee is all about, what we've done so far, what we're planning to do, and then feel free to ask questions or to share ideas or let us know what you'd like to see out of the committee. So the mission of our committee is to raise awareness and promote dialogue within our profession. So, on engagement, retention, diversity, and inclusion. We're observing the ways our profession is changing and figuring out how we can adapt our practices to meet the changing needs of our workforce. So the committee started in 2015 as the SE3 project in SEONC in the San Francisco group. The national committee was formed in 2017 under NCSEA, and since then we've hosted 3 nationwide surveys. Our membership currently is about 60 people, and we're represented across 19 states. We have monthly committee meetings that are pretty consistently attended, up to 30 people at a time, but we have about a core group of 12 people who are really the go-getters of the committee. And this last year, the pandemic didn't really slow us down. We kicked off our 3rd nationwide survey. We started the development early on in the year. We launched it in the springtime, and then the summer and fall was spent analyzing the survey data, and ended up being a really big success because we exceeded our goal of reaching 5,000 respondents, and we got participation from all 50 states. So we've been in the process of developing some publications and survey topic reports based off of that information, developing presentations off of that information as well. With all the social protests and movement last summer, the Racial Equity Task Group was created, and it was also a reaction to NCSEA's joint call to action. This group is still in its infancy, but we've gotten a good bit of momentum started. We participated in the DEI series hosted by NCSEA. We've been contributing a monthly newsletter, which you guys might have seen over the last couple of months, Read, Watch, Listen. We also are participating on the joint DEI committee with NCSEA, CASE, SEI, and ASCE. And then one of our bigger, more consistent initiatives is hosting some educational programming at the NCSEA Summit, and we just finished our spring series this last month. And both programs ended up being 3 sessions, and then an interactive lounge similar to what we'll do today. This next year, we're probably going to slow it down a little bit so we don't burn ourselves out. Our big goal is outreach effort. So this is where you guys kick in today. So that way we can get to know you and then see if there's interest on the local level to get something started. We really do believe that change happens on the local level, and that's where the biggest impact comes from. So we can only do so much on the national level, but every state, has different issues they're facing, and there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So we are looking to help establish committee liaisons, support local chapters where they want or where they need it, and then develop resources as required. Of course, continuing our efforts on any publications and any educational programming that stems from some of the conversations that we're having and some of the research we're developing. And those are the big items for this year. Hopefully we all get to see each other in person at the summit in October. But I want to open the floor to everyone now to feel free to ask questions, to network. I'd be interested in hearing what are some of the SE3 related topics that you guys are talking about in your local SEAs. Steve, do you want to start since you picked on me at the beginning?
Sure. Well, I will say that we are just starting an SE3 chapter in our SEA and SAO Oregon. That's our chapter. So, oh boy, Alex, what's her last name? I should know her off the top of my head. She's our secretary. She's got us engaged. She's really excited about it, and we just voted a week or so ago to officially form a committee for that. So we're excited to get going with SE3 in Oregon. I was looking to see if she's online, or part of this, but I don't see her on. So that's what we're doing, and we're continuing to struggle with trying to figure out ways to engage our membership. And I think that just lines right up with the mission of SE3.
Congratulations on getting that committee off the ground.
Well, thank you for your support with that. I know that Alex has really talked about a lot, all the help she's been getting from SEA or NCSEA.
Anyone else getting started locally?
Hi, this is Lacey from Colorado, and I see that our past president, Chad Mitchell, is also in this call, and it's thanks to his action that the Colorado chapter received a grant from National, which we matched locally to actually start our SE3 chapter this year. So they have already had at least one meeting. Chad, I missed one, so I'm not sure if they've had two. But they have a whole litany of things that they're getting ready to launch this year. So we're pretty excited about that and thankful to National for all the help.
Yeah, I think I was in contact with Chad about that to hear the progress that you guys have been making. And Alex Lacosi is also a big part of our national committee. And I believe he's helped move that forward as well.
Right, he's our local chairperson, so that's awesome.
Oh, fantastic. I'm gonna pick on Kayla next. Oh, sorry, whoever wanted to speak.
I was just gonna ask Sabrina if you had a list of the MOs that have SE3 committees established, and maybe the ones, there's Colorado and Oregon now. Were there any new ones in the last 6 months or a year that were established?
I believe that Central California, like the Sacramento area, just got started early on this year. I know CMAS, they got one of the grants from NCSEA this year and have been working to develop their mentorship program. Let's see, the Dallas group in Texas, I believe they got a grant, and they're not looking to necessarily form a local committee, but they're starting SE3 related events. And there's a few other that I just can't remember off the top of my head. But we do have a running list of like some places are starting groups, some people are just running, or some states are just running events or a presentation. Of course, SE3 items can run the gamut. They can be as big or as small as you'd like. I think the Dallas group actually started off as just a happy hour. No agenda, but just people networking.
Yeah, I should probably know it better, Sabrina, but I'm from Seahawks Central, Sacramento, and I know one of my coworkers is engaged in our SE3 that has been quite active actually after getting off the ground, doing some mentoring sessions, some online or virtual sessions, panel discussions on career development and stuff like that too. So it's been a good kickoff for Central California.
Yeah, I believe part of that group actually joined the national committee for one of our presentations earlier this year. It was one of our not monthly committee meetings, but an extra where we talked about the challenges in the profession based off of some of the survey data. And that helped get them started, in breakout rooms on Zoom, having those discussions of, hey, what big topics should we focus on for the area? And that's one way that the National Committee can really help local SEAs. So if you really don't have or don't feel confident in a good place to start, you could always reach out to us and we can kind of say, hey, this is a cookie cutter program that we've done in the past. You know, we can help you organize it and engage with your local membership and, you know, dip your feet into the water a little bit to see how it goes. I did want to go back and pick on Kayla because I see you're from New Hampshire, and I'm from New Hampshire as well. And I know there are a couple of engineers who have reached out to me about starting a local group there. I was wondering if you have any updates.
I do not, and I wish I did. I think it would be awesome for us to have and get started with. I haven't heard anything from the board at all. I don't believe we have a committee started. It would be amazing if we could start one. And I think that would be very beneficial to our members. So the cookie cutter gets a quick start. Sounds really appealing. Well, I think we're smaller in comparison just because New Hampshire's smaller than a lot of states. But just being able to get our members engaged and get involved. Just so I know personally, for the longest time, our professional development committee was run by a single person. And then me and a coworker took it over. Now there's 5 of us. So it would be really nice to try to do a similar growth on an SE3 committee. I think that would be awesome, even if it starts with one person getting multiple people involved. And if you know the New Hampshire people, feel free to send their names my way.
Yeah, of course.
I can reach out to them.
That. I was going to say you could start a whisper campaign and have it get back to them that people are interested. And you know, there's some really good people in that group who are delegates, and I've met them through the NCSEA Summit, who are looking for the next generation to pass the baton to let them know what their FDA needs.
Absolutely, that would be great.
Anyone else want to share? Kayla, thanks for letting me pick on you.
No problem. I wish I had more to share, but I essentially joined in to learn what I could, and again, just come away more knowledgeable and hopefully be able to start something. So.
Guess I'll speak up. So yeah, Massachusetts, as you mentioned, we had originally tried to begin our SE3 group just before COVID. We were planning a couple in-person meetings. It's, as you said, just some informal networking events just to get people introduced with the SE3 concept, but to also start to bring up some goals that we wanted to pursue for our group. But with COVID, everything has moved to a virtual format, and we're still studying ways to make virtual networking a thing. But in the meantime, we've started at least a mentoring list of trying to group young engineers with older engineers, just so that they could have one-on-one sessions and ask about things that an engineer would as they go from a young engineer to a more experienced one.
Yeah, that seems to be a popular kickoff item, but I also think it's a little bit overwhelming because I think there's a lot of legwork to do behind the scenes to start getting people connected. And we do have some resources. Ed, thanks for reminding me on the SE3 committee website, and I believe it's linked through NCSEA's website on the startup resource guide. But the San Francisco group has been really successful in their short-term speed mentoring programs, and then I think they're developing a longer one as well. And they're, I believe, actually, some members from your organization have been in touch with that SE3 group, and from that, they've decided to develop an official or like a more formalized document or startup guide that we could help share to other groups who are interested in doing that as well. Be really interested to hear your feedback once you guys get going on how that's working out, and if we can learn, lessons learned on how to improve it.
Oh yeah, the other thing too, it's as you mentioned, we always look to what other MO groups are doing for SE3 events to help us come up with our own ideas. I probably was the one that reached out with regards to the speed mentoring roundtable. Because that was a great idea, and I'd love to try and mimic that for our group once we're able to, or if we're able to get back in person.
Hey everyone, this is Tiffany. I'm chair of the SEONC SE3 group, and I actually, so Alan, who's one of our co-leads for the mentorship program, he's been working on that resource guide, and actually can give an update that it looks like it's actually quite soon to be ready to be reviewed by NCSE SE3. So hopefully coming out shortly.
Awesome. Thanks for the update.
Hi, this is Rose. Can you hear me from Washington, D.C.? Hi. We're thinking, our board was thinking of starting a committee, so we wondered if we could have a liaison with the member, with the main committee.
Yeah, if you're interested, we have something like that similarly set up with the group out of Chicago, where actually it started in reverse. Some of our national committee members liked the idea so much they went back to their own SEA and said, hey, can we be your board liaison and then help, share updates from the main group back to the local group? And then they've started to build up momentum there. So if you want to volunteer yourself or have another person who may want to attend our national committee meetings, you can dip your toes in that way and then share back to your local board.
Okay.
That'll be a good way to get started.
So find somebody who's interested in promoting engagement and equity. I've seen some of the topics. It's quite a broad, the range of topics is quite broad. I think the new topic I'm sure everybody's going to be talking about is when companies start forcing people to come back to work, how we're going to, if any of these national committees are going to have any recommendations. Work-life balance and all.
Well, yeah, we've tried discussing that at the national committee level. What we try to do, as mentioned earlier, we meet once a month, every second Tuesday for an hour, and every other meeting, we try to have an open discussion to talk about, whatever seems to be the topic du jour, and hoping that kind of primes the wheels for coming up with ideas or programming ideas. So that way, when we do dive into, developing content for the summit or for our virtual spring series, we know there's interest, and then we can deep dive into that. But yeah, it's certainly a really good idea. I think a lot of people are poised to to know what the new reality is going to be like.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other SEAs that are considering or an SE3 group or want to recommend starting an SE3 group locally? Let's see if I can pick on anyone else here. Let's see, Sharon, can I pick on you?
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm also from Metro Washington, but I'm the current chair of the Young Members Group.
Oh, great.
But I also liaison with the main board group. So actually, my intent was, as part of the SE, as part of my role, was to sort of bridge that gap where I would bring those sort of SE3 topics through the Young Members Group as a way to engage the whole membership. And
That's
so
a fantastic idea.
So we've put a bit of a pause, but we did have an event 2 years ago called The Workplace We Want, where we sort of had a panel event where we discussed topics like work-life balance and the SE3 survey, and it was open to the whole group, but it was put on by the young members group. And so that was a really interesting discussion that we had.
Sharon, the Pechacucha was interesting too.
Oh yes, and the other sort of crossover event that we do is called Pechacucha, which is a presentation style where it's 20 slides and you get 20 seconds per slide, and so the topics are pretty broad. So we had someone from the Overseas Building Office who presented about his work for the government as a structural engineer. We had people talking about, we had a professor from George Washington University discussing her career as a woman engineer and how her career path has changed over the years and how she's guiding the next generation at a university level.
Yeah, she was one of the first 6 women to graduate from civil engineering school at MIT or something like that. That was interesting.
Yeah. So I'm always surprised at the broad range of presentations that we can get.
That sounds like a really cool idea. Glad to hear it was successful.
Yeah, it worked actually pretty well over Zoom. So we usually do that one in person, but it was easy to transport digitally.
Nice. Yeah, we've had a couple committee members mention that they lost momentum throughout the pandemic because Zoom fatigue, or the fact that you can kind of just put away whatever's online and just focus on what's in front of you, and people miss that one-on-one interaction. To be interested in hearing if anyone else faced that challenge or found a successful way to go about it. Some people have mentioned gamifying their Zoom calls. They played bingo or some kind of video game in tandem with their meeting, which seems like a whole lot of multitasking.
Well, we started doing the surveys where everybody's got their phone and you ask a question and the word cloud shows up on the screen. It gets really interesting, especially when people start putting emojis in and stuff. But it does keep them from wandering off mentally.
Hi, this is Haley. I'm the Tiffany's vice chair in SEONC SE3, and I think we've actually gained momentum with our virtual events. I mean, over last summer, we also added a racial equity task group, and so that might be why we gained some momentum, because now we have multiple groups going at the same time. But we've had pretty good success doing virtual events, presentations or breakout rooms, or we've been hosting book clubs that are just pretty small, Zoom meetings, open discussions, and everything, in my opinion, is actually easier to plan. There's no venue or food. Everything is a lot cheaper because of that as well. So yeah, I think at SEONC, we've actually kind of been taking advantage of the virtual meetings.
Oh, that's really good to hear. And I think you make a really good point that some states, some state MOs are so spread out, the membership's so spread out that it's really hard to get people to engage in person. I know when I was involved with the Vermont group, it's Burlington next to Canada, and then Brattleboro on the southern tip, and it's like no one wants to leave or meet in the middle. And I'm sure there are other states like that. They're like not quite big enough to have multiple MOs, and so it's hard to get the membership together. And virtual really did, kind of a blessing in disguise, provide opportunities to get more people connected.
Yeah, our main program that we have going within our racial equity task group right now is firm leader cohorts, where firm leaders from all over SEONC have like a 4 to 6 person cohort, and they meet monthly to talk about ideas to progress DEI within their firms. They meet monthly, and then we have a facilitator who meets with them quarterly to kind of discuss how their goals are going. But because it's virtual, I think that's made it a lot easier for them to meet. And we even have someone participating from Seattle. So I've actually been enjoying it, and I think we may continue certain things virtually in the future.
That's really cool to hear. Let's see, anyone else I can pick on? Anyone want to volunteer and speak up? How about Calvin Chen?
I'm still just a current student, so I'm not part of anything, but I was just interested in the committee and wanted to learn more.
Awesome.
Calvin,
Well,
you're a
welcome.
student, which means you are part of the future.
Yeah, we're trying to get things, we want to get things better so that way it's more inviting for you. And so if you have some input and perspective, you're always welcome to be part of the conversation. Thank you for joining us today. Let's see. I don't think we have a ton of time left, right? I think we only have a half an hour. So let me ask this question. Is there anything that SE3 should be that we're not yet? And this could be national level or a local group. Is there a topic that we're missing or an initiative that we're missing the mark on? It'd be great to hear that kind of feedback.
Actually, I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. I was recently having a discussion with a group working on kind of department culture at my alma mater, but I think this is applicable also to companies. That group was looking to do kind of like an engagement survey within the department. And I know that there's other companies looking to do engagement surveys just at their offices or within their firm. And I was wondering if NCSEA SE3 has a list of questions they used in the national survey, or maybe a pared down list of questions, kind of like a guide for doing something like that.
Yeah, with the survey questions are available. We just have a little formality of signing a release form, just so we're in the loop of where our questions go. So since we put in all the effort to develop them and word them, structure them the right way to get the most information out of them. But yeah, we're happy to share that information. Feel free to reach out to me or one of the other committee leads, and we can roll that out.
Thank you.
I believe there was one or two other MOs who did request the survey questions. Maybe it was also one or two companies as well, who then pared down our survey questions and then did an internal survey for either their organization or their firm. And they thought that was really helpful to kind of gauge the conversations, or be able to put priority on the things that are actually interesting to their membership. Like I mentioned before, one size does not fit all in this case, and every locale has different issues and concerns they want to focus on. Bassem, did you want to say something before we wrap up?
No, I just wanted to add some positive feedback. I love seeing the surveys with each iteration that we see it, and getting the feedback that we do. And I know more and more SE3 groups are starting to sign on, and so I think over the next couple of years, we'll really start to see a little bit more interaction across the board.
Yeah, that would be great. Fingers crossed for New York City in October, and we all can get together and have an SE3 networking event in person.
we are currently planning on a dual virtual and in-person event. It's trending that way, so we hope it continues to trend that way.
Sounds good. Well, I think we're at our time. Susan or Leo, let me know if you want to carry on a little bit more.
That is completely up to you, Sabrina. You know, we can, if there's conversation that you want to have, we can certainly go a little over. We can also end either way.
Sounds good. Well, I'm happy to be available for a little while longer if anyone has more questions or comments, either or.
I think we're starting to lose some people, Sabrina, so we may want to just wrap it up. I did leave some links in the chat for people as well.
Sounds good. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. And if anything, don't hesitate to reach out, SE3@ncsea.com.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone.